The Spartan Laser is one of the most iconic weapons in Halo's history, and for good reason. It's a very cool weapon with an amazing design that shoots this powerful red beam of death. But its inclusion is a relatively controversial one for some pretty simple reasons. It's argued to be too powerful down to the fact that it basically makes vehicle play completely redundant on maps that it's available on. I think we all have fond memories of playing Valhalla, hopping in the Banshee only for someone in the middle of the map to instantly blast us out of the sky. Or perhaps we're driving in the Warthog with our squad, maybe we're returning, maybe we're capturing the flag, and all of a sudden red beam of death and now we no longer exist. And even then, if you're the one using it, it's just free kills. As long as you're holding it, it's just free kills. The reason I bring this all up is because recently a Halo content creator by the name of Ubernick made a tweet talking about the Spartan Laser. He gave his idea on a potential fix for the weapon if they were to bring it back in Halo Infinite to balance it out. He said, a good fix for the Spartan Laser is when you're charging up and it forces your Spartan to stand completely stationary, and then asked everyone what their thoughts are. Well, this gave me a little bit of an idea to sort of talk about this for a video and give my thoughts on how they could balance the Spartan Laser if they ever wanted to bring it back. So anyway, if you do enjoy it, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new here. I really do appreciate it and it really does help the channel out. But without wasting any more of your time, let's jump straight in. So we have seen a couple of different iterations of the Spartan Laser, but for the most part they've all been pretty similar. Yeah, Halo 5 had a few variants, but pretty much every one of these does the same thing. They're all still that big, red, deadly laser. They still make vehicles feel completely useless no matter what map you're on. The last appearance of the Spartan Laser in a mainline game would have obviously been Halo 5. Halo Infinite decided to replace it with the skewer, which is a big banished weapon that shoots a giant skewer. This, just like the Spartan Laser, is a very powerful anti-vehicle weapon, however it's not quite as powerful. If anything, the skewer kind of feels a little bit more like a sniper rifle. It doesn't one-shot almost every single vehicle like the Blazer does, although it can still destroy some of them in a single shot. But usually, for the most part, you are going to have to fire more than one. And the skewer is still an amazing weapon. It's very satisfying to get kills with. It's a very fun weapon to use, but it isn't quite as iconic as the Blazer, at least not in my opinion. Maybe that's just because the Blazer has been around for longer. I think at the end of the day, I'd much rather go up against someone with the skewer rather than someone with the Blazer. But anyway, how exactly would I balance this weapon? Well, firstly, I'm not exactly a massive fan of the stationary idea that Nick had and a few other people. I really think this would make using the weapon feel really sluggish, and not in an intentional way. Just coming to a standstill every time you charge the weapon up would just be really annoying. I did see one idea that would be quite interesting, making the Spartan Laser a mounted turret. That would be cool, and that kind of blends the stationary idea in a more reasonable fashion. But for me personally, the idea I came up with is that the Blazer should drain your shields as you charge it up, and when the Blazer then fires, your shields are now completely depleted. This would then leave you vulnerable. So essentially you wouldn't want to miss your shot, and even if you do land it, there might be someone else on the enemy team that now knows where you are and knows that you're basically a one-shot kill. Obviously if you've got overshield, that wouldn't be the case, but that's a very situational matter. But then I got thinking a little bit more, and I think it would be cool to blend that stationary idea as a part of this too. Having the Blazer as a mounted turret could have it hooked up to some form of battery cell, so it doesn't rely on using the player's shields to charge up. Maybe it could actually be plugged into some kind of fusion coil. This means enemy players could shoot this and kill the person using it, as well as destroying the Blazer mount, which would be pretty good for balancing, because you're going to basically have infinite charges while you are on the mounted turret. But then the turret could also be detached. It's just then going to rely on your shields to fire up the weapon. And I think this would be a very solid way to implement it and to balance it out. Obviously not everything needs to be a super balanced weapon, but I do think the Spartan Laser could be very overpowered. I like using vehicles, and anytime you're on a map with the Blazer, vehicles are practically useless. So if 343 ever did intend on bringing it back, it would be cool to see it implemented in this sort of fashion. I really do like the idea of having it as a mounted turret, but then being able to detach it and then draining your shields would still add the weapon. It would still be very powerful. It's just going to leave the player using it a bit more vulnerable, which I think would balance it out without actually nerfing the weapon. But anyway, let me know your thoughts. How would you balance the Spartan Laser? Or would you change absolutely nothing about it at all? I'm curious to hear what people have to say. Anyway, thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next one.